The great tree of knowledge and wisdom had its roots in China, and wherever the benevolent shade of that wondrous and mighty tree fell, civilization flourished. Protected from the barbarian by a great wall to the north, over the centuries a culture developed that was the marvel of the world. Scholarship flourished. Literature, medicine, and military strategy were invented, then improved upon generation after generation. As the Egyptian, Etruscan, and Roman empires rose and fell, the Chinese continued to develop a unique society that was decades, indeed centuries ahead of all others. Advanced agricultural methods allowed the toiling masses of peasants to feed the nation. Monuments of unparalleled beauty and complexity were constructed that would be copied throughout Asia. Buddhism was enthusiastically embraced by millions of Chinese. Medical concepts and techniques were developed that survive to this day. Physical conflict between individuals and vast armies was studied, researched, and recorded. Individual centers of martial learning, notably the Shaolin Temple, existed and became the stuff of legends. We can assume that many such centers existed where young men were taught the art of self-defense. The achievements of the Chinese people were many. All contributed to the culture of the nation that for several millennia was unique. While the rest of the world slept the deep sleep of ignorance, China gloried in a civilization and in a way of life that would be unknown to others for many centuries. Then, after more than 5,000 years, burdened by the weight of its glory and exhausted by its many accomplishments, China began to die. Racked by civil commotion, foreign invasion, and an overly bureaucratic governmental structure, the great but now decadent kingdom began to falter. As China declined, Japan was being slowly opened to foreign trade after centuries of seclusion. Britain had established a far-flung empire upon which the sun, quite literally, never set, while America still bled from a war that had robbed it of the flower of its manhood. Unlike the phoenix of Chinese mythology that was destroyed only to rise from its own ashes, there would be no miracle to save the Middle Kingdom. The seeds from the last blooming of the once glorious flower of Chinese culture would be scattered far and wide. Some fell on native soil, struggled to survive, but died. Others were taken to less civilized but younger and more vigorous cultures by foreign students and traders. Here they would grow strong and robust once more in the virgin soil of these distant lands. There were many visitors from overseas who aspired to learn the unique, unarmed fighting methods of China, but few were qualified. Even fewer were capable of withstanding the rigorous and lengthy training that turned bodies of fragile bone and vulnerable flesh into sculptured stone and tempered steel. Yet there were visitors to China, like the Okinawan Kanro Higaonna, who willingly paid the heavy price of acquiring superhuman strength and physical invincibility. For 14 years he paid in hardship, pain and suffering the cost of the passage from defenseless youth to master of the martial arts. When he left China in 1882 for his homeland of Okinawa, he took with him Sanchin and the other 8 kata that were fundamental to this fighting system, as well as the techniques and training methods of his chosen art. He would become a legend in his homeland and the pillar of the Naha-te method of unarmed combat that took its name from the city of Naha in southern Okinawa. To the art of which he became the chief exponent, he would add to in his maturity, as would his most capable student, Chojun Miyagi, in whose care this most aggressive and destructive fighting art was placed on the death of the master. It was he who refined it into a balanced and physical mental discipline, part hard and part soft, from which came the name Hard Soft School of China Hand, Goju Ryu Karate. The Okinawans who inherited the art of Kanryo Higaonna were a sturdy people, much used to hardship. For them, the severe training was a challenge more than an ordeal. Te, and later karate, as it became known, was for people used to fighting a harsh environment very invigorating and produced a hardiness of spirit and a physical resilience that assisted them greatly in their day-to-day work as farmers and fishermen. The Okinawans brought a native energy and sincerity to all they did, and as a result, karate prospered greatly. It flourished to such an extent that, barely a century later, the knowledge that was so secretly transmitted from a Chinese master to his Okinawan student became the intellectual property of the world. An art that has become the activity of choice for many millions of people of every nationality, race and creed, but one that remains to this day, in some respects, as secret and as shielded from the public gaze as it was centuries ago. Morihei Higaonna is a member of karate's inner circle, one of the most qualified and respected teachers in the world. He is the heir to the legacy of Chojun Miyagi by virtue of being the premier student of Miyagi's last and most favored disciple. Renowned for the quality of his technique, his immense knowledge and his awesome power, no one is better qualified to present what makes Goju-ryu karate unique and what makes its exponents feel in combat, sporting or otherwise.